Today, we're going to continue our series on retirement risks with a specific topic being the risk of inflation. Hope you enjoy. When we think about retirement and all the risks that people have to deal with, one that probably gets overlooked the most is inflation risk. And inflation is considered to be a stealth tax. And what that simply means is your purchasing power becomes less and less as time goes on and the price of all the goods that you're going to purchase get higher. So when somebody's preparing for retirement, they're looking at retirement. Oftentimes they're looking at the things they're going to deal with, health insurance, and, how much am I going to be drawing in Social Security? How much distribution is going to take out of my retirement accounts? Unfortunately, frequently the thing that they don't consider is 5 years from now, I'm going to need more money than I do today just to maintain the same standard of living. 10 years, I'm going to need more than I did 5 years, or today I'm going to need even more. And this is going to continue as time goes on, and the longer a person lives into retirement, the greater the impact. I mean, really, if you think about it, if I retire at 65 and at 70 something happens to me, I didn't really have time for inflation or any of those things to be an issue. However, the longer I live, the greater the impact. And if you're not familiar with the rule of 72, I believe it's the accountant's rule of 72 is what it's typically called. The rule of 72 allows you to determine how long it takes either for a sum of money to double or for the amount of money you need to do the same thing to be twice as much. So let me give you an example. So if we're talking about the environment we're in right now, where they're talking about 7% inflation. I'm going to use that because that's easy math for me. So if I took 7% inflation and said, if we assume 7% inflation, the rule of 72 says if I divide 72 by 7, basically it's going to take, in 10 years, I'm going to need twice as much money as I did right now. So if I needed $20,000 a year today, in 10 years, I'm going to need 40. If I needed 50,000 today, in 10 years, I'm going to need 100 just to do the same thing. Now, fortunately, we don't stay in a 7% inflation environment. Typically, it is historically hung around 3. So even at 3%, if you do the math, you're going to continue to need more and more money year in and year out. So it's extremely important as you consider your planning and you start looking at your cash flow, you determine, okay, what steps can I take to make sure that I can keep up with inflation, at least so that my purchasing power doesn't get squeezed and I go into retirement pretty comfortable, but 10 or 15 years into retirement, all of a sudden life looks totally different, because I've still got the same amount of cash flow as I did when I started retirement. So if this is something you have an interest in, conversation you'd like to have, feel free to give us a call here at Westside Advisors and Insurance Services, and we'll be glad to have that conversation with you. I hope you have a great week.